My name is Gabe Litterman, and I am the admissions representative for the DeVos Graduate School at Northwood University. My role is to guide you through the admissions process and act as your advisor in the enrollment process. Today, we've got a great agenda, and I'm really excited to share this with you. We're going to be talking about who we are at Northwood University and the DeVos Graduate School. We're going to discuss our GM partnership and our MBA program curriculum. We're going to hear from a current faculty member, Matt, who will speak on the topic of leadership. We're also going to be talking about scholarships and our admissions process, and then we will have some questions and wrap up. So a lot in just 30 minutes. If you do have any questions, though, through this presentation, on the right of your screen, you'll see a little chat bubble. Go ahead and type in any questions. I'll be there answering them, and also I'll be sharing any common questions at the end as well. So let's get started. We are so pleased that you are investing your time today to learn about the partnership GM and Northwood offers to help you advance in your career. We see education as an investment that has a great ROI. And Northwood University and General Motors has partnered for over 4 years to offer this executive MBA program. We've been partnering in the industry for decades to ensure that what you're learning in the classroom has direct application to what you're doing professionally. We have over a 50-year history in educating in the automotive industry. Our mission is that we are developing the future leaders of a global, free enterprise society. We have over 3,500 graduates across the globe in our automotive degree programs, and over 50,000 automotive employees have participated in our continuing education programs. And that really is a true testament to our longstanding partnership that Northwood University has with your industry. At the graduate level, DeVos has offered an MBA that focuses on dealerships, aftermarket, a motor vehicle executive MBA, as well as the GM executive MBA that we're going to be discussing with you today. So really, this partnership is a give and take, and definitely a win-win for our students and the industry. So next, I would like to turn it over and introduce you to Dr. Matt OConnor, who is an assistant professor here at the DeVos Graduate School. Dr. OConnor has over a decade of experience as a strategy, marketing, and research consultant for major corporations like Nestle, Keurig, Dell, and John Deere. Matt is our lead faculty for leadership courses here at the graduate school and is the founder of the leadership training and development firm Growth Core Leadership. Welcome, Matt. I'm excited to hear from you.
Well, thank you, Gabe, and thank you everyone for taking the time out of your day to listen to our presentation and our conversation. I appreciate any comments or questions you have throughout the discussion today. Like Gabe mentioned up front, there's a lot to cover here. I want to talk a little bit about our program and how it positions General Motors family members, dealers, employees, that sort of thing, to succeed in business, and then give a bit of a sample or a taste of some concepts that we teach and how that's a bit unique compared to other MBA programs out there. As Gabe mentioned, our executive MBA program through General Motors is designed for executives and aspiring executives in the automotive industry. It's a fully accredited 24-month program, 2 years. With the curriculum designed to meet the needs of you, GM professionals. And our experience in the automotive industry, I think, has helped us reinforce that and build an educational program where you will succeed after you complete it. You'll learn from faculty, you'll learn from your peers throughout this cohort-based program. And that's an interesting differentiator for us, is that the cohort-based program combines the learning that takes place within a group of students over the course of the 24 months, in addition to your faculty, combined with something we're really proud of and work towards, and that's an application bias, is what we like to say, an immediate application of coursework in the workplace. So what we're learning and what we're teaching and what you're discovering throughout your journey here at Northwood's MBA program, you can apply almost instantaneously to your daily work, personal and professional lives. And I'll try to show an example of that here in a few minutes when we talk through leadership and strategy and innovation in one way that we think about it in our program. Right now, up on the screen, what you'll see are our courses. As part of the program, there are 12 courses, and they cover a variety of disciplines. All the big ones are covered. So there's financial courses, accounting, economics, marketing, leadership, process, strategy, all the things that you would find within an MBA program, except the way that we kind of position it here through the General Motors Executive MBA is that it's customized in several spots for you and the challenges that you're facing and the environment that you're currently in. And we think that's something that is particularly powerful and we're proud of. All of our courses kind of work together in a lot of ways. And this is going to come up when we talk through some examples here in a minute. We live in, organizations are, notoriously siloed around functions. And we try here in our program to break down those silos and to focus a lot on the connections between departments, the connections between decisions that we make as professionals, and the relationships that kind of form and help solidify, a complete systems perspective of an organization. Decisions that we make or actions that we take are not, isolated. Every decision that we make has second or third order impacts or consequences, and we need to understand those. So when we work through our program, we always are trying to connect the dots and create a perspective or a picture or a view of an organization that is holistic, that is robust, and accounts for all of the different angles and all of the different initiatives that might be going on at a certain time, and that will come into play a bit here in a minute. You'll see a couple of GM-specific courses here, process improvement, strategic management, but in particular at the bottom is this General Motors capstone project, a directed study. That's something that we're really proud of, that has had quite a bit of success over the years. What that is essentially, and you'll see some examples up here on the screen, the culmination of your program, of your MBA program here, will involve you working with a faculty member here at Northwood in collaboration with your organization, your department, your division, your function at General Motors, and on a project with real impact and real tangible results, both from a financial perspective, but also just from an organizational perspective as well. And these are a combination of real-world application-based projects with sort of learning and outcomes and everything that goes along with that. It takes place over an entire semester, and you're assigned as sort of a faculty mentor and advisor along the way as someone who can work with you, and you help to define the topic, to create the process for executing the project and understanding its impact both financially and organizationally. And it can come from a variety of different functions or disciplines. We could have leadership-related directed studies. We could have marketing-related, production-related, supply chain. Here are some examples up on the screen of just a few that have had tremendous financial impact, projected financial impact to the bottom line of the organization. So it's really a win-win-win across the board in this capstone project. I've been involved with 6 or 7 over the past couple of years, and they are arguably the most rewarding projects that I've been a part of, just to see how they evolve, how they emerge in students' minds in collaboration with their bosses or their supervisors or their coworkers. And then over the course of the 16 weeks that this project is being conducted, to work alongside students in a lot of different ways to make sure that the projects that they're doing are actually having an impact. And that's something that we really pride ourselves on. I mentioned this application bias up front. I can't stress that enough. We try to take what's out there in the world and bring it into a space that is tangible, that is actionable, and that we can implement. And that's really where our learning is different than other MBA programs, is that whatever we do, we kind of think through this application lens and say, okay, how are we going to apply this? What are we going to do with this tomorrow? And that's something that we're excited about and we're continually investing in, and it's continually evolving and changing over time. We have a lot of these projects underway at the moment, and they're fascinating, and they come from across the board. So it's really something we're proud of, and we think it's something that kind of separates us. What's also interesting about our program is that the topics and the concepts and the tools and the models that we use are relevant to you as students, as professionals, as leaders, as aspiring leaders. Our courses are, we have a really interesting approach to courses in that we rarely use textbooks. We do that intentionally because we want our courses to remain relevant, to remain current, and to constantly be applicable in a lot of different ways. A really good example of that is in our marketing class. So as Gabe mentioned, I teach leadership, I teach organizational behavior, but I also teach strategy and marketing. And we just added a new reading in the marketing course on non-disruptive creation that was published in MIT's Sloan Management Review just last month. And it would probably take a couple of years for that to trickle down into some textbook somewhere, but we're able to be nimble and we're able to modify and adapt our courses to remain as relevant and impactful as possible to you as professionals. We do a lot of case studies, and that's how we apply information that we're learning, and how we kind of generate debate and discussion and ultimately come to strong conclusions is through applying what we're seeing and reading in those case contexts. The program itself takes place primarily online, and it's really engaging. I mean, we work with our students through a variety of different models. There are discussion boards that we have. We do conference calls if we want to. We do real-time video chats. The engagement level is really high, and it's designed that way because as a faculty member here, the most rewarding experience I have is working with students. So I take every opportunity that I can to engage with students and to learn from them and to help them and advise them along the way. And that can take a variety of different forms in the program. The capstone project that I mentioned is one that not only is technical in nature through your discipline, but also leadership related, because you spend time conducting this research project. And the final question that often I ask of students is, okay, what next? Where do you go from here? And you have to implement it. And that requires interacting with people. That requires leadership skills, knowledge, the ability to influence. So it's a combination of technical and interpersonal skills that get wrapped up into these capstone projects that make it incredibly relevant to you, both from a functional perspective, whether you're an accountant or a marketer or a supply chain professional, but also as a leader, as a human being. You have to develop both sides of that coin simultaneously, and that's really what our program is designed to do in a lot of ways. Excuse me while I grab some water. So this is an example of a concept or an approach that we would take in one course that can transcend boundaries of different courses. And by that I mean what we see in a marketing class can show up again in a leadership class a couple months later, because we really try to think of organizations as living systems of interconnected parts, not discrete or separate functions that don't ever interact with each other. So in our marketing class, one of our marketing classes, we talk about growth strategies and how firms tend to position themselves to succeed. And a model that we throw out there to start the conversation, a model that is quite popular in this field and market-based strategy, is this explore exploit model developed by a couple of people, Ray Miles, Charles Snow, back in the 80s. It's old, right? It's been around a long time, but it's really, really valuable. And this model focuses on two essential activities: exploitation and exploration, from a firm level, from a company level, or a department level. So we'll see that organizations in a lot of ways can grow by exploiting market opportunities or exploring market opportunities. And by that I mean, if you're exploiting market opportunities, are you doing what you're currently doing, just doing more of it, right? I mean, are you really good at something and you want to go out and do more of it in the existing markets with existing products and existing services? That's a very valuable and profitable way to grow, but it requires certain capabilities in an organization. And I'll be the first to admit that this model is a simplification of strategy in a lot of ways, but it helps us develop a framework and a common language and understanding as we move through certain developments or enhancements of this model, and we incorporate it into different aspects of organizations. Exploration, on the other side, is new markets, new products, new opportunities, and that's where innovation really comes into play. Organizations who are exploratory are constantly looking for the next big thing, the next big chance to win in the market. So these folks, Miles and Snow, developed this model, and they came up with 4 different strategy types, broad strategy archetypes. We have prospectors, reactors, analyzers, and defenders. And prospectors are the organizations that are really high on exploration. I mean, they're out there. You think of prospecting for gold back in the West. They're out there constantly innovating, looking for those new opportunities. And you have analyzers on the other side of it who are simultaneously exploring new opportunities, but also exploiting existing opportunities. And those are the 2 we're really going to focus on because they're more innovation-based. But prospectors and analyzers are market-focused organizations. An analyzer is an organization that is exploiting their existing markets and customer bases and constantly exploring new ones. Amazon is an example of an analyzer. They dominate certain markets and they're simultaneously disrupting new ones. It's a really difficult strategy to execute, but effective if you can do it. Prospectors, a lot of ways, are looking for the next big thing. 3M is an innovation company. I think that's their tagline. And so they're always looking for those niches, those new needs that are out there, those problems that are those latent problems that consumers have that they might not know they have, and can they solve them in some way? So those are 2 market-focused strategies, and this model helps us understand what role are you in an organization? What mindset, what frame of reference are you operating from? Where are we now? Just on the bottom side of this, you'll see the organizations that are very low on the exploration scale. The defenders are focused on protecting their market share, protecting their turf, doing what they're currently doing just more efficiently. So there's a real heavy emphasis on cost control, on all sorts of things like that. And reactors tend to not have a strategy at all. They more focus on market conditions. They tend to drift from opportunity to opportunity with no kind of coherent or confirmed approach that will guide their decision making. So these 4 broad market strategies have been around a long time and are helpful for us in our marketing classes to get a sense of where we're operating and what we need to focus on. All right. So this comes up in one of our marketing classes. What's missing, and this is an example of how we're going to extend and integrate certain concepts here. The model we just talked about, the Miles and Snow model, doesn't address leadership. It doesn't address organizational behavior or anything like that. I mean, we have these strategies. If you are a prospector or an analyzer in your mind, that's one thing to be that, but how do you execute? How do you implement? How do you lead these processes that are very complex, that take place over several months, several years? So people have been trying to figure that out. And there's been a lot of attention. So even though the Miles and Snow model has been around since the 80s, it's still being applied in different contexts and in different ways. And we're always kind of tuned in to new developments in the field. And one of the most interesting ones that's come about over the past, 5 or 6 years was this idea of strategy leadership fit. And some folks out of Denmark started to develop a model framed around 2 particular approaches that lead to effective innovation. And stay with me as I connect this on the next slide. Those 2 variables are your delegation preference and your uncertainty avoidance. And what that means is, do you tend to delegate? Are you comfortable delegating tasks and responsibilities to other people? Generally, the more you're able to do that, the more flexible and innovative you can be as an organization. And uncertainty avoidance, while not entirely the same as risk tolerance, you can refer to it that way. Are you comfortable in ambiguity? Are you comfortable not knowing what the future holds? Are you willing to take risks? If you are, you have a stronger chance of being able to innovate in a lot of ways, especially in these market-based approaches that we've been talking about. So these folks created a separate model framed around delegation and uncertainty, and they came up with, again, 4 different broad buckets of leadership styles that are effective or somewhat effective in leading innovation, in leading strategy. And they have names for them: producers, leaders, maestros, and managers. And I'll talk a little bit about kind of what each one of those are in a minute, with different capabilities and different skill sets. So you'll see producers in the top right here. They really they have a tendency to delegate, but they have a low risk tolerance, which means that their thinking is more, I guess you would say, I don't know, they prefer motivation over control, that sort of thing. So where we're going here is that when you take a marketing framework or a marketing strategy model, and then you can combine it with a leadership model framed around behaviors, you can integrate the two and come up with some new learnings or some new takeaways. And this is what the folks from Denmark did, and this is something that we talk about both in our marketing class and our leadership class, is how do you lead certain initiatives successfully? Because a lot of times we talk about leadership in a vacuum. We talk about it generically as something that applies to every situation and every context and every organization, and we know that it's not that. It's not that broad. It can be very specific and very situational. So when we take the miles and snow model and then we overlay what the folks in Denmark did, you can see what strategy and what leadership styles tend to fit better together in order to be more effective in implementing or executing an innovation, right? So we know that from the research that's been done, strategy and leader alignment is crucial to successful execution. I like to say that it's the right person at the right time in the right role that contributes to success in many ways. Organizations with stronger fit among leaders tend to innovate and implement more quickly and more effectively than those with weaker fit. But fit is elusive and it's ephemeral, meaning that it's not consistent. Once you have it, it doesn't stay forever. It's an important factor to success, but not the only factor to success. So if I'm looking at this image, this chart on the right, which combines both of those two models that I just talked about, you can see that if you are in your organization is in prospector mode, right, which means you are very high on exploration, very low on exploitation. So you're focused on product innovation, you're focused on new opportunities, right? The leader style that the folks in Denmark developed represents not the best possible fit, but a strong fit for that particular strategy, because those folks in that leader style score high on delegation and low on uncertainty avoidance. So they have to be really strong at processing information. They have to facilitate debate. They have to understand and interpret different perspectives. And they have to focus on the future. They have to focus on the long term. And that's not always clear. That's not always plannable in a lot of ways. So we have to be comfortable in our ambiguity. So each one of these strategies has a particular leadership style that you could find relevant or useful. So we look at these two different models, we combine them, we develop some new learnings, and we apply them in multiple courses. And that helps us understand organizations holistically and at a different level and at a higher level. So the way that we would button this up is, okay, what can you do to get back to our application bias? What can we do to create stronger fit in our organizations? What can we do? So this is a question I would ask. What can we start with right now, tomorrow in our jobs to apply some of this stuff that we've talked about? And, you can think of it as a 3-step process: diagnosis, diagnose, determine, develop. So trying to diagnose your existing approach to strategy or innovation. You're probably going to have multiple ones going at a time, depending on your division. But ask yourself, are we focusing more on doing the same thing just in greater volume? Or are we concentrating on new opportunities and emerging ideas, right? Explore versus exploit. But then you also need to think about, okay, what should we be doing? Determine the most appropriate mindset for your organization at the given time based on the external environment, other threats that are emerging, shifts in demographics and competition, organizational capabilities. So understand where you currently are, where you need to be, and then think about how you can develop, or one of my favorite words, align your leadership style with that particular strategy that you're trying to implement. And if we think about it just through this lens, you'll see that you can work to improve your delegation, you can work to improve your comfort in certain ambiguous areas. Delegation is always a problem for people. Type A professionals do not like to delegate. Delegation is about being effective, not being more frequent. It's quality over quantity. So we'll have a conversation about how you can become more comfortable delegating and be a more effective delegator. And the same thing with developing your comfort level in ambiguous or nebulous environments. I mean, there are tactics, there are things we can do to help you do that and help your people be more comfortable when uncertainty is high in the external environment. And frankly, that's like one example of a topic that we would cover in a particular week. And one of the big things that I like to do when I do my classes is say, tell me what you don't like about this. What's wrong with it? What are the weaknesses? We rarely preach one model, one approach, one mindset here at Northwood. We're really focused on cultivating a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different tools, and then figuring out which one is right for the particular situation. So there's a lot of weaknesses in what we just talked about, but there are a lot of strengths too. So we have to tease those out as part of our discussion boards, as part of our video conferencing with faculty, as part of assignments that we do. So I might ask students to come back and do a quick diagnosis on their organization. Which of the 4 do you think you're in right now and why? And which of the 4 do you need to be in and why? And then what are you going to do to develop yourself and help you be more successful leading these initiatives? So we don't have any exams, midterms, finals. Everything is application-based through concepts, cases, experiences, and that really helps us kind of generate, I think, some robust and powerful learning. So I think I'll turn it over to Gabe now with just a couple minutes left to talk a bit about the details, but I encourage anyone to reach out to me with questions. I mean, we really just scratched the surface there, but I wanted to give you kind of a taste of how we think about certain topics and ideas here and how we work to kind of break down the barriers in organizations in order to create, to elevate the level of learning that takes place when we see outside of our own functional boundaries. That was my goal there. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. Clearly, you're passionate about this, and I've actually sat in a couple of Matt's classes and can attest to the great atmosphere and how just aligned he is with Northwood. So we do only have 2 minutes left. I do want to respect everyone's time, so if you're not able to stay on longer, I understand. We will be sending out the recording. We just have a few slides left on the admissions process and the scholarships that we do offer. So bear with me for a few more minutes, please. As you can see in this slide, and Matt discussed that this is a 36 credit class. You take 12 courses. It is 100% online. So in one of the chat questions, that was a question. So if you're traveling, you're able to do this class. If you live in Although we're based in Michigan, Northwood is, we have students that are all over the nation and globe that are in this program. The next start for fall is August 26th. And this course, or this program, you take 2 courses per semester. Each course is 8 weeks long, so you're only focusing on 1 course at a time. This is for working professionals. We are looking for folks with experience. And we understand that you have work and family and busy lives, so we deliver this content very strategically. You can see the program cost. That is for the total program. There are no fees, no book costs. Everything is included in that cost. And we are really happy because we have the partnership with GM that we do have partner discounts for both corporate and dealership employees as well. So obviously we have a multitude of folks in this webinar, but I'd be happy to talk with you individually on what partner discounts you would be eligible for. And I believe the next slide, we also talk about a couple of the different programs that we have to offer. I threw this slide in because I did see that some of you registered for different programs. So we are talking about the GM Executive MBA program in this webinar, but this slide shows we've got a Retail Automotive Executive MBA and Automotive Aftermarket, that's brand new. And we have a Master of Science in Organizational Leadership. So some of you may already have your MBA and you might be interested in the cultural change, organizational change. The MSOL degree would be perfect for you. And we also have a master's degree in finance. All right, so you may be saying, okay, Gabe, this all sounds really great. I want to advance my career. Matt's really engaging and I want to learn more about leadership. How do I start? How do I start this fall? So there is an application process. You can go to, and I will be sending all this out to you as well, apply.northwood.edu. It's the same site that you went to when you registered for this webinar. I do want to note, I always get this question, is that do I need my bachelor's degree to join the program? The answer is yes. So we would need your official transcripts from your undergrad. So if you've taken community colleges or any college or have taken any credit after your bachelor's degree, if a graduate school, we need those transcripts sent to us. We look for a current resume, and you will also be having an interview with an admissions representative. Take note that there is no GMAT or GRE required, and depending on your GPA, we might need additional information such as a writing sample or something like that. But our admissions process is designed to be streamlined, and it's easy for you to apply and get admitted with us, and we hope you do. All right. So in closing, we want to thank you so much for attending the webinar. I want to open this up. I know it's 12:02, but if there's any questions, and I will actually ask Matt one question that we always get before we wrap up, but I do understand that it's past our timeline. But Matt, can you talk to or speak on behalf of the faculty on how involved and available the faculty are to students?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. The short answer is almost always available. We are really passionate about the approach that we take. We're passionate about our students, about the subject matter, and I think that shows up in how we work with students. So I give out my cell phone number to students on day one, and I get texts all the time. We do phone calls. It's part of our jobs, but it's also part of our lives. And we get into this profession because we love the classroom, we love to work with students. And any chance that I get to interact with students, both inside and outside of class, I take it. I keep in touch with a lot of students who have graduated over the years, and we've become friends. Our networks have grown together. We've worked on projects together. It's an experience that I think I speak for all the faculty when I say that is incredibly rewarding, and one of the primary drivers of our success is how willing and able we are to engage with our students almost anytime, anywhere.
Yes, thank you. And to follow up on that, you also are given an academic advisor, and this is really a differentiator. I mentioned that we cater to working professionals. Your academic advisor is there to help you make sure you succeed, registering you for classes. Kind of think of it as your one-stop shop. So this GM employees and the dealership employees, they really like this feature. And Stephanie, she's amazing, and she really ensures that you're well taken care of and you focus on work and then these classes. So all the other work, in your other institutions, you may have had to call 5 different offices. That's not who we are at Northwood. We're a small university and we focus on customer service aspect as well. So one of the questions, program costs. So depending on your employer, you might get tuition reimbursement, or you might be EdCore or EdAssist eligible, or you might receive ETAP benefits. So I can talk to each person kind of individually on that because it is different, but we've handled them all. But you would most likely look to your HR representative to see what benefits you are eligible for. And remember, we do have those discounts on our end for the corporate and dealerships as well for our strategic partners. So there is also, I didn't mention, there is also one scholarship opportunity for you as well, which is unique for MBA programs. So another question is, what do you mean by 36 credit hours? So each course, so you'll be taking 12 courses, and each course is 3 credit hours. So that adds up to your 36 credit hours for the whole course. It's completed in, like Matt said earlier on, in 2 years. Okay. All right. Okay. So I will be available. You can see my email and also Dial's email. We will be following up with you with recording and additional information on your application if you're interested. And I just want to thank everyone today. Thank you, Matt, and thank you to the team. This is such a great program, and I'm just really excited to share it with everyone. So as a reminder, our fall semester does begin August 26th. It is not too late to apply, plenty of time. And I hope that everyone has a great day today. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.